We're not getting full transparency when it comes to the 650,000 emails that the NFL says were sent to and from former Washington President Bruce Allen over a 10-year period, 178 per day. But we are getting some drips. There are some people out there of goodwill who are making things known to those of us, the few of us in the media who are chasing this story. We had a couple of tidbits yesterday. Let me start with Bruce Allen and Jeff Pash. Jeff Pash, the NFL general counsel. Some of the emails were leaked last Thursday night during the Bucs-Eagles game, showing some questionable things for a lawyer to be putting in writing, some comments that were nothing close to John Gruden, but some things that could offend some. Comments about the wall along the southern border, comments about players not voting, less than 1% probably vote, something that Jeff Pash said derisively, questions about Jeff Pash saying that Bruce Allen was doing the Lord's work by trying to get a player to take less money. So we've seen some, but we reported yesterday that there were more than 1,000 emails exchanged between Pash and Allen over that 10-year period. The league downplayed it. They confirmed that they didn't confirm the number. They said they'd have to dig, but they said if it's only 1,000, well, that works out to about 2 a week. Well, okay, fine. Just give us the damn emails. Just let's end the mystery. If you think it's no big deal, it's just 2 a week, okay, fine. Well, you can say a lot in 2 emails a week. Just show us the damn emails and be done with it. Don't downplay it. There's a lot of downplaying going on because they're trying to hide something. If you got nothing to hide, show us the emails.
Of course.
If you got something to hide, keep doing what you're doing because it's letting us all know you got something to hide, and we're going to keep pushing to get the emails.
Yeah, I don't think they care. They're going to give you a little to wet your beak or like change the conversation or get us off base a little bit, but I don't think we're ever going to see them because there is stuff there that's probably, demeaning to a degree. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Right. Well, no, they won't deny. See, when I ask the right question, when I'm supported by the truth, because what I'm trying to do here is be very fair to the league.
Yeah.
So before I run with any of this, I say to them, here's what I'm going to report. This is your chance to tell me I'm wrong. This is your chance to add to it. This is your chance to do anything. And on both of the things we reported yesterday about this, I did that. And on one of them, I went way above what I would do just to be 100% sure. Because I think they're afraid if they say that's not true, the next move on the chessboard is, well, here it is.
Right.
What do you say about this?
Yeah.
So they got no choice. When the arrow hits the bullseye, they got no choice but to admit it. But what they do then, Chris, is they downplay. Well, it's only 2 a week. Still, just show us the damn things if it's no big deal. If it's normal that Jeff Pash and Bruce Allen were exchanging emails, show us. I think there's more that would be problematic for the league that were exchanged between Allen and Pash than has been leaked. I think there's more.
I wouldn't be
Spider
shocked.
sense, there's more.
I wouldn't be shocked. They're giving you a little, some cliff notes here, but they're not going to let you have the whole story. There's no doubt about it. And, these are things that, are going to make the league take a few jabs in the face here and a little controversial. But they're like, you know what? We'll take a few jabs instead of us letting out this whole thing and we get hit by a bunch of haymakers for the next month and this overtakes the whole league. So I think that's where they're trying to kind of walk the fine line of we're going to wait this out, but we'll give you a little here and there to keep it going. And we just hope it kind of, after a little while, everybody forgets about it, stops trying to, pursue it so aggressively and do that. That, to me, just, again, as a guy who's followed the league very closely my whole life, I would say that's the route they're going to try to take in this situation.
They're up 10 points with 9 minutes left in the game, and they want to run out the clock.
Yeah, exactly.
They desperately want to run out the clock.
Right, they want to run out the clock, and they might do a cool play every now and then, here's a little something just to, whet your appetite a little bit.
No, they don't want to give anything. But when they have no choice,
then they do. Okay, that's
when
said.
they have to admit it.
Right.
That's when they have to admit it.
Right.
And they're hoping that, that there aren't so many of these that it creates a critical mass where someone who has the power to force them to relent wakes up. And whether it's the NFL Players Association finding a legal theory that can be pursued in court or through a grievance, maybe there's some creative theory that could be used there. Maybe there's some third party who could create some sort of a citizen-based lawsuit based upon the public nature of the NFL at this point, the public funding, the public presence. I made the argument a week or two ago that maybe one of the Freedom of Information Acts out there in one of the various states could support an argument, and specifically in Virginia or Maryland, the idea that specifically the stadiums in Maryland, there's an argument to be made that there's a public interest here that requires that these be produced. Or the easiest thing would be for someone in Congress. Now, Congress is such a mess and a cesspool right now. They literally don't have time to fulfill this function. We always hear, doesn't Congress have better things to do than this? No, well, they shouldn't, because this is part of their mission. When things like this are so intensely in the public interest, they need to regulate them. And if Congress wasn't a cluster right now, maybe they would be able to hold a hearing on this and put some pressure on the league to release these. But that's the kind of thing it's going to take. But if it all dies down and goes away, it's never going to happen. So I'm doing what I can to keep this alive. I'm doing what I can to keep pushing this. I don't have a whole lot of help here, and that's very disappointing. We talked about that yesterday, and I'm going to mention it again today. Where is everybody? I sure hope the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, major publications out there with the resources to put into investigative journalism are doing something, and they're just holding back the 10,000-word article that's going to drop on Sunday morning. We don't wait until we have a big, giant word salad that we can throw out onto the web. When I have something new, I polish it up and I post it and I move on to the next thing. I'm just hoping there's someone else out there that is trying to get to the bottom of this, because I think, folks, if you're watching, if you're listening, there's a reward out there. If you're in the business of doing investigative journalism, there is a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow. Follow it.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be reluctant, especially the ones that follow the NFL. Mike, you're special that way. You don't bow down to them.
Maybe
well,
washing cars soon.
Well,
too.
I mean, yeah, maybe you will be, but you are different that way. You don't just stay status quo or go, okay, the NFL said it, I'll believe them. But as we know, and a little bit back into the conversation you just talked about, like at the end of the last segment. Not everybody's going to want to bite the hand that feeds them when they're following the league. And these are 32 oligarchs that got tentacles all over the world and can squash and do things quicker than any group of people in our country. We know that. I'm not going to get into specifics about certain stories with owners and everything else, but damn, they can get it swept under the rug quicker than anybody. So that's where I just don't think it's going to happen. And again, that's where I just think it's interesting that it's Bruce Allen who's out of the league that just continues to get crapped on here now. And, it's people of not high. It's like it's to me, yeah, it's a crap show for lack of a better way to say it.
Bruce Allen deserves everything he gets. John Gruden deserves everything he gets.
Sure.
The problem is there are others who deserve
exactly
something, and they're not getting it because they're successfully hiding it. Another thing that came out yesterday, and this shows that the league claims that the 650,000 emails that were sent to and from Bruce Allen, 178 per day, every day for 10 years, that they were unrelated to the workplace culture investigation that was going on in Washington. Okay, but what about the emails where Allen sent the photographs of the cheerleaders to John Gruden? Doesn't that overlap with the investigation? Because it wasn't that a big part of the investigation? That's actually what prompted the league to take over the investigation when the story came out of the secret video clips from the calendar shoot that were prepared reportedly for Dan Snyder and other high-level executives. So there is clear overlap there. And one of the other things that came to light, and again, it's another drip, and there are people out there of goodwill who aren't committed to hiding this. In 2011, Bruce Allen sends a photo to a couple of members of the league office, Dennis Curran, who's basically the general counsel for the Management Executive Committee, the Management Council Executive Committee, and Adolfo Birch, who was a high-level executive at the time, with a couple of women scantily clad, one bent over and the other one with a fake needle. And Allen wrote something along the lines of, for our next meeting on HGH. And that's in this body of documents, right? And I'm not making any judgment about it, but it's another reason why we need to see all of it. We need to see everything that's in there, because this is another one that sends up a red flag, and it has some overlap to the culture of the Washington organization. And I'd love to know what happened next. After Allen declared himself as being, a guy who would maybe think that it's okay to send an email like that to a couple of high-level members of the league office. What did they do? Now, the league said they didn't respond. The league was very careful to point out they didn't respond.
Right.
Okay, fine. They didn't engage in whatever banter Bruce Allen was trying to bait them to engage in. But did they say this is inappropriate, this is unacceptable? Did they let Dan Snyder know that their team president is sending out, at the time he was a general manager, but what was done at the time that the red flag goes up the pole? What was done to address what Allen did? And I think that's part of this too. What did the league know, and when did the league know it, about the fact that they had a cesspool in Washington from a workplace standpoint that they needed to deal with? And how do we get to the bottom of it? Well, we start by seeing the full trove of Bruce Allen emails. 650,000. Let's see them. We may want to do more after that. We're not saying that's all of it, but that's an easy starting point, especially because the league says has nothing to do with the workplace misconduct investigation. Okay, fine. Then why are you hiding it? Let's see him. Let's just see him.
Yeah.
See him and be done with it.
Well, I mean, yeah. I don't disagree with anything you're saying, and especially, hey, football is such a big part of our country and our culture, and of course, it employs a very, a great diversity of different cultures, to where, you'd like to see them to know if, things are not being done or said properly. A lot of disrespectful things just already, and just the few emails we have seen. Just disrespectful, period. I mean, even some of the, like you mentioned already, the Jeff Pash, Bruce Allen stuff, just disrespectful. It's yeah. So I don't like the tone of that. I understand that, but I feel like, Mike, you're the only one that's still kind of banging the table and banging the drum. I feel like the last few days, if you don't go on Pro Football Talk, you don't see much about any of this stuff anymore. And I just think the NFL is going to continue to try to wait this out and see where it goes. And they're going to take their lumps for now. But I'll be shocked if we ever get to the point where they release any of this. No way. There's no way the 32 oligarchs are ever going to get behind releasing stuff like this. There's no way. Absolutely not.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.